This podcast contains spoilers to some of your favorite cheesy holiday movies. As if you don't already know that Christmas is saved and they live happily ever after. Because magic or Christmas spirit or some shit. Happy holidays! I'm Ashley.
And I'm Dustin.
Welcome to the Hokey Holiday Review, a podcast where we judge cheesy holiday movies. And let's be honest, having a last-minute concert will not save your farm.
Today's movie is called Christmas in the Smokies. It can be viewed on Netflix. It stars Sarah Lancaster, Alan Powell, and Barry Corbin. It was directed by Gary Wheeler and written by Richard Clark Jr. and Gary Wheeler.
The Netflix synopsis is, in the Smoky Mountains, an ambitious woman works to save her family's historic berry farm as her ex, a country music star, returns to town.
So basically, the whole rundown of this thing, we have Shelby and her family. They're about to lose their berry farm to this big-time developer guy. At the same time, we have Shelby's ex-boyfriend coming back to town. He's a big-time country music star. His name is Mason Wyatt. And he pieced out like 20 years ago, left her high and dry. So for a long time, she's hated Mason. But the two have to team up, put this benefit concert on to raise enough money to save the farm in time for Christmas.
Woo!
All right, with that being said, Ashley, what'd you think of the movie?
What do I think? I think that Shelby, that bitch, needs therapy. She needs fucking therapy. Dude, it's been 20 fucking years. Like, okay, I get it. Like, you got your heart broken when you were 17. All right?
Everybody did.
Everybody did. Okay?
Yeah.
Who fucking didn't? But Shelby, honey, you gotta fucking let it go. Okay?
Yeah, I mean, they're clearly in their, like, mid to late 30s. So you know it's been, like, 20-ish years.
Well, they said it's been 20 years.
Okay.
And so, well, they didn't say it in the movie, but they said it in some, like, synopsis or something somewhere, that it's been 20 years. So 17, so now they're, like, 37 or something. That is 20 years later. And, I mean, girl,
yeah.
Get over it. Like, I know that shit sucks, but, like, 20 years later, like, I would think that you've, like, dated other people or at least, like, gained some sort of perspective as an adult. But, like, bitch, if you haven't, go to therapy. That is what therapy is for.
Yeah, well, in general, she's the type of person that just doesn't want things to change. She likes things to stay the same, and, like, I just think that's kind of connected to that kind of situation.
I would agree. I would definitely agree with that because they do have, like, different things throughout where they kind of hint at that. So, like, for example, she's, like, driving this old ass truck that has the cassette. She still listens to cassette tapes.
Right.
And so you know, throughout the whole movie, she's upset because you know, she doesn't want the town to change. And so the developer guy is like, hey, you know, you've got to be progressive. Which, I mean, is a fair point, but she just does not want to be progressive. Like, she likes her town the way it was. She wants it to stay the way it is. And so it's clear that she's stuck in the past and she has some sort of, like, complex about that.
Yeah.
But literally, that is what therapy is for. Bitch, go there. Okay? Like, if you are still upset about a teenage boy that, like, left you and you are 30 fucking 7... like, a therapist needs to fix you, okay? I'm just saying.
Yeah, right.
Who is 37 years old and still mad at their high school boyfriend?
I mean, I'm sure there's people out there, but, like...
Okay, and they need to move on.
And at this point, she should realize Mason's become, like, this big country music star. Like, good for him. That was his dream. Like, he made it happen. He had to leave town to make it happen. Maybe he should have said bye. Maybe he should have said something. But, like...
Well, they say in the movie, he's talking to her dad, and he's like, I've written letters, like, I've tried to get a hold of her, and, like, he does say that. And, like, the hostility, you guys have to watch this movie, the hostility that she has towards him is, like, basically, like, he, like, ran over her cat on purpose. Yeah. Like, that is how she reacts towards him.
And she kind of looks for the trouble with him. You know what I mean? Like no matter what he says or does, she just, like, has something, like, mean to say to him.
Yeah.
Like they're out in the field or whatever, like talking, like she's out there working and he comes out there and he's talking about the farm, but he says, "Oh, you've expanded." He's talking about their family farm, like the land that they have. She takes that as, "I've gotten fat? Why would you say that? What do you mean?" Like,
yeah,
what?
she doesn't actually say that, but like he goes, "Oh, I see you've expanded," and she goes, "Excuse me?" And he goes, "No, not you. Like the fuck? Who hears the words "you've expanded" and like take that to mean that you are fat?"
Yeah.
Like, girl, get over it. Like, stop looking for trouble where trouble is not. Like, you are the reason that 20 years later, you are still bitter as shit.
Yep.
Go to therapy. Moral of the story. Fuck.
All right, so clearly you're very opinionated on Shelby.
I'm sorry, I did get on my soapbox a little bit. It was a little intense. I'm sorry. We can go on now.
All right. So next we have Mason Wyatt. Mason is the ex-boyfriend who skipped town years and years ago.
Good old Mason.
Yeah, now he's this big old country music star. And at the beginning of the movie, he's like on this like Dancing with the Stars type TV show, and he just like looks like a complete fool. Like he's like a jerk, and like he sucks at dancing because he's such a jerk that he doesn't care about it. He's just like, whatever.
Yeah, he didn't bother to practice it. Like, he's clearly like a pretty big douchebag.
Yeah, like his dancing partner just like walks off the set, and she's like, "Peace." Like, this guy sucks. But yeah, so like in the next scene, like he comes back to town, and all of a sudden he's like this different person, and he's like, the stardom's like changed me and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He came to town to like really like get back to his element and all that kind of stuff.
He's like, I want to come back and remember who I am and where I came from.
Yeah, and from there, like, that's the end of the character development for, like, the second main character in this movie.
Yeah, he just becomes, like, all of a sudden, he just becomes this, like, good guy again.
Yeah, because, like, I mean, he has all the interactions with Shelby, but, like, I think he's genuinely a good guy, like, from here on out. Like, she's the one that's mad at him constantly.
It was just a really weird, like, form of character development, because, like, it clearly showed that he was, like, one thing, but then he was like the total opposite without any kind of character arc or like plot arc or anything.
Yeah, it almost would have been better if like he came to town and he was still kind of a jerk, and then like later on, like maybe the part where he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this concert," maybe that's like his big moment, but there's not really a big moment. He's just kind of like whatever the whole time.
And they did try to make a moment where like right before the benefit concert they put together, he was like, "Hey, I got this gig, like, I'm gonna fly out and I'll be back for the concert, like, I'll be back to do this," and then Shelby gets mad at him, and then he decides, okay, I'm gonna turn down that gig and to do this. And so, like, I think that was kind of their attempt to, like, show that he had changed, but, like, from, like, the moment he stepped foot in town, like, 5 minutes into the movie, they had already shown that he changed. Like, it was
super boring character.
Character development fail. Let's say that.
Absolutely.
So, short blip about Mason Wyatt. But going back to Shelby and her family, look, I don't know who these people are, but their money problems, they just have a total lack of awareness for, like, finances and I guess, like, how it works. So, she has a meeting with the bank, like the finance guy, and she has a meeting with him because they want to buy more land. And he's like, I can't give you more money. We've given you like multiple notices that you're behind on like your payments. And this bitch straight goes, "Oh, I thought it was just a notice like the others." Like the others?
What do you think notices are for?
Like the fuck? Like, so you've gotten multiple notices, and, like, did you not think that they would eventually, like, act on them? Like, that's how money works. Like, they don't just, like, keep giving you, like, eviction notices, and, like, you just, like, oh, well, this is just, like, a notice that I'm gonna get kicked out of my fucking house.
It's so strange.
Like, it was, like, what did you think? Like, it just, like, no awareness, and that just blows my mind that, like, I thought it was just a notice. So, like, not only is she, like, bitter as shit, but also dumb as fuck, apparently. And her parents are clearly like no better. Like her dad has no care about losing the house.
No,
like
not
he's
at
like,
all.
it's gonna be fine. Like we're gonna wake up tomorrow and the sun's still gonna shine. Like we'll be fine. We're always gonna be fine.
Yeah, well,
like,
Shelby's like, we're gonna lose the house, and he's like, oh, we've been here before. Like,
yeah, we
oh, I bet you have
before.
been here before. Like,
yeah, because clearly you have no idea how money works, and like the mom is like kind of worried about it at this point. But like the dad is just, he's so funny because he's just like, we're fine, and Shelby's like, no, dude, like dad, you're not fucking fine. And he's like, hope and faith will save the farm, and he's just like talking about how like, oh, you've got to have hope, like it's fine. Like what about, I don't know, responsibility, like financial like budgeting, like do you like, that's not gonna like keep you from like, clearly of course they've been here before because like they don't pay attention to their finance. It's so stupid.
Well, what's funny about the dad saying like all that stuff, because he's like, oh, don't fight, like just have faith and everything will be good, but like the mom like right after that says, oh, we're fighters, we're gonna fight. Like what's your messaging here? Like,
yeah, that's,
do you fight or do you not fight?
That's
what do you
really
do?
conflicting, because for one to say like, don't do any fighting, we're just gonna rely on hope, and then for the other one to be like, we're fighters. Clearly you're fucking not. Like clearly you just rely on hope. Like I don't know. That's fucking bonkers to me.
Yeah. But then we kind of find out that there's $63,000 in debt that they need to pay in like 60 days.
Yeah, they were told 60 days, and then when the bank called them like on their credit line, like they're collecting it by January 2nd. So they have, what did they say, like 3 weeks? 3 weeks. So I don't know. Maybe don't rely on hope, and maybe you should
get a financial advisor or something.
Get a financial advisor, and don't ignore the fucking notices that you get. God, dumbasses. So, okay, anyway, now that we've talked about how dumb they are, so ways that they're, like, raising money. So Shelby, being the fucking savage that she is, she's like, she tells Mason, you can stay with us for $4,000 a month. Which, I mean, he can pay, because he's a big music star, but then she goes, oh, well, you know, it's Christmas, so we'll make it $5,000
right.
this month. Fucking savage.
And then she's like, you can sleep in the barn.
Yeah, she's like, you can sleep in the barn. But then later she's like, animals sleep in the barn. Like, calling him an animal. So, like, very savage. But then her dad actually has this idea of how to raise money to save the farm. And it's...
I said the idea should have been, we'll beat him up and drain his bank account.
Which does not fit, like, the Christmas spirit.
Imagine if the movie turned like that. They just jumped in.
Yeah.
Then the credits roll.
Short movie, to the point. They just beat the shit out of it. Drain his bank account. I don't know how they would do that. I don't care. But I love that plan of action. I really wish that the movie had gone that way. Oh, no, but his real idea is for Mason and Shelby to put together a benefit concert to raise money to save the farm. And Dustin, as somebody that works in the concert industry, what do you think about this idea?
I think it's a terrible idea, and it's super unrealistic. So,
Tell us about
let's put in perspective here. They need to raise a little over $63,000.
Yeah, it was like $63,600 or something like that.
Okay, so after they decide to do this concert, by the way, they decided like 2 or 3 days before, so there's not a lot of time for promotion. They live in a super small town. They don't say how big the town is, but we can assume it's probably just a few thousand people.
I mean, if that.
Right? So, okay, let's do some math and some thinking here.
Mathing here.
They do decide tickets are going to be $15 and kids under 5 are going to be free.
Yeah,
okay.
First of all, if you're trying to raise money for something, nobody should be free. But, okay.
Right. So, I was doing the math, and at $15 a ticket, they would need to sell 4,200 tickets to raise $63,000. And that's without paying anyone. Like, that's... Like, Mason's not getting paid, his band's not getting paid, the anybody working is not getting paid. They're sound guys, your whoever.
Yeah, we're assuming that everybody is volunteering their time on Christmas Eve.
Right. And yeah, like there's no other expenses, like nothing. And they did say they're going to be selling food and stuff, but like
they didn't say they were going to be selling food. They said they would have food. We assume that they're selling it, but they also have to buy the food. And so they do have to pay themselves back a little bit if they have to buy the food. So clearly there are going to be expenses.
Yeah, and also I want to take in consideration, their promotional budget. They had a big truck full of flyers, and that's not cheap. That's as many flyers as they had. It was
boxes and boxes.
That was going to be probably hundreds of dollars at least, if not more.
There's no way that anybody printed all of those flyers for them for free.
So when the concert happens, they do this on purpose. They don't show us any good shots of the whole crowd.
Right,
we don't really have a sense of how many people were there. But I've worked enough concerts in my day and events and stuff to know, kind of get a feel for how many people are probably there.
And judging from the shots that we did see.
Yeah.
And the applause that happened.
Well, that's what I was getting to. This applause is kind of quiet, and you're like, oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, it wasn't 4,000 people. It was what I would call a smattering.
Yeah, well, he's not even on a stage either. He's probably about he's just on the ground or maybe 6 inches off the ground. So even if there are 4,000 people behind him, there's no way they can see him or hear him or anything. So I don't know. Usually I can suspend disbelief in a lot of these situations, but this one just made me so mad.
Yeah, you were pretty heated about it. So from the shots that we could see, we could really only gather that there was maybe 100 people there, but we're gonna be generous and say that say that maybe there's 300-ish people.
Yeah, and so after doing some math, we say 300 people, $15 a ticket, all that stuff. They're still about $50,000 short of what they need.
Yeah, I mean, and talking about merch, they did talk about selling merch. They didn't show any of that in the movie, but let's say that everybody that went in attendance bought some merch, which is unrealistic. That's not an actual thing. Some people buy merch, some people don't, but assuming that everybody has bought some sort of merch, that still doesn't reach $63,000.
Yeah.
And they never say how much they actually raised from the benefit concert.
Right. If 300 people bought $20 t-shirts, it would be $6,000.
Yeah, and then you add that to 300, what's 300 times 15?
300 times 15.
Yeah, let's do that math. So let's say 300 people bought 15 tickets, and that doesn't count the kids under 5 that are free.
Plus 6,000, so we're at $10,500.
Okay, so exactly like you said, 50,000.
Yeah.
They'd still need 50,000 more.
Yeah, and maybe they bought some food, but that adds to it a little bit.
But then they have to pay for that food.
Yeah,
Nobody's donating that food.
I've never worked in food, so I don't know what the overhead is on food and everything. I don't know. It's just super unrealistic and made me super mad. It struck me right in super close to home,
I remember you were so heated about it.
I should have turned the movie off there. But there was only 5 minutes left at this point. The end is super, super rushed.
So speaking of that, how this concert could not have possibly raised enough money, it actually didn't, and that's the twist to the whole thing is the benefit concert did not actually raise enough money to actually save the farm. They don't say how much was actually raised, but when they were doing the calculations, the handful of cash that was there was pathetic. It was
it looked like it was
they
$500.
Yeah, they probably didn't say for a reason because of how unrealistic and ridiculous.
Because they knew concert promoters were watching, and they're like, "No, this isn't real.
This is a lie." So then, what actually saves the farm? You say, because obviously this is a feel-good, cheesy holiday movie, so the farm has to be saved, obviously.
Yes.
So what actually saves the farm?
So earlier in the movie, Shelby was out in the streets selling
Out
pies.
Streets.
Selling pies out in the streets. I guess she goes to the main street or whatever and sells pies.
Yeah, it has a little booth or a setup.
And this lady and her husband buy a whole bunch of pies. She says that she's the buyer for this pretty big grocery store chain.
Yeah, what we
or something.
assume is a big grocery store chain. Yeah.
Yeah, so she takes her card and everything, buys a whole bunch of pies. And so at the end of the movie, after they count the money and they're like, we didn't make enough. I guess the farm's gone.
I guess we're done.
They get a phone call on Christmas Eve at like 9 o'clock at night.
And,
And guess who it is? It's the buyer. And she's like, yo, we want to buy your pies. We heard your story about the concert, and we heard you guys on the radio talking about it. We love your story. We love your product.
We want to place an order,
And we're going to place this big order, have the money to you, like, in, like, 2 days, and...
The day after Christmas, which, again, is unrealistic, because nobody's doing business on Christmas, and, like, a lot obviously goes into, like, having to do that. Like, as somebody that has to jump through a lot of hoops to issue like payments to people in like my everyday like big girl job.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen like the day after Christmas, but fine, whatever. Fine. So that's what actually saves the farm. This lady makes such a large order that actually saves the farm. And I mean like maybe that's what the movie should have been about. Because that was such a small part of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, the scene where the buyer and her husband were there, like, was, 30 seconds?
Yeah.
And, like, you forget about her, which I guess, like, that's what they try to consider, like, good movie making. Because, like, foreshadowing. But I don't know. Like, don't let me harp on it.
All right, so as per usual with these movies, these cheesy movies, there's so many like funny little weird bits that are just easy to make fun of and easy to laugh at.
Yeah. So the first I want to note that their house looks like it was decorated by Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, it looks like they went in there to have a meal and then they went to go check out and they went to the little gift shop in there and just was like, oh, let's buy everything in here and put it in the house.
They just bought the entire store. You know what? They just live in Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, that's what it is.
If they had lost their house, they could have just moved into another Cracker Barrel. Okay, and, like, that's kind of mean to say, because, like, I know that's kind of, like, Southern charm, like, if you see, I mean, they decorated it really well, like, it definitely looks like a Southern home, and, like, not to bash it, even though I'm kind of bashing it, like...
It's just us dang Yankees judging
in
the South.
Us dang Yankees in Missouri.
Right.
Like, I don't know, it was just something that I noticed, something that I kind of found entertaining, like, when we were watching it, I was like, okay, their entire house looks like Cracker Barrel. But anyway, so another funny thing is that no one dresses for the weather. Like, this is supposed to be in Tennessee, but there's a part where they say, the radio DJ guy says, it's going to be a high of like 30 something, which seems to be a little bit unusual for that area, but... Shelby is like the day that he says it's gonna be 30 something. Shelby's out there in like this like dress.
Yeah, she's got like this skirt thing on.
Yeah,
and totally
it's,
fine.
Like, above her knees.
Yeah, and then that's kind of a trend throughout the movie. Like the guy gets on the radio another time and says it's gonna be a brisk one, and then like Mason's out there like wearing a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And you can't see anybody's breath or anything. The one part where Mason's outside of their house when he knocked on the door and Shelby like closed it on him or whatever. Her dad's like, Mason's gonna freeze to death out there, and it's like, you were just out there with like no coat on or anything.
With like this dress and like a very light sweater, like, and you were fine.
You can totally tell the movie was filmed in like June or something, or like the springtime.
Yeah, or I mean, like, we know that it was filmed in Georgia. It was actually filmed in Georgia. It's set in Tennessee. And so it was likely warmer anyway, but that was pretty funny. And there's a part where, like, all inside, she's, like, super bundled up, and, like, it's like, okay, so she dresses warmer inside than she does outside.
Right.
It makes no sense, but, I mean, these are things that only we would notice, so, yeah. I don't
know. The part where, like, the rooster crows and, like, wakes up Mason kind of bugged me because it was, like, 5 a.m., but the sun was up.
Yeah, they said it was like 5:20, I think.
Not how winter works.
And I mean, we aren't talking about like the sun was like the sky was starting to like lighten up, like the sky was light.
Yeah, it was like noon.
And I mean, I know Tennessee is a little bit like further south than us in like a different geographical area kind of, but it's all still in the Midwest. Like, come on.
Yeah, right.
That's a little bit unrealistic. So, at one point kind of at the beginning, before Mason comes back to town, they have some sort of event where they're watching him do that competition or whatever it was. And the grand prize, I guess they have like a raffle or something as part of the event. And the grand prize is a signed CD.
Woo, spent a lot of money on that
like,
one.
That's the grand prize of the raffle. Okay, and I get it. It's a signed CD by Mason Wyatt, like this big country music star, but really, like, that's your grand prize.
Yeah, little weak.
And then there was the kid. This kid's like 11, and he's like fucking stoked. Like, the look on his face, he's like so excited that, oh my god, I might win this CD. Kid's 11, there's no fucking way he knows what a CD even is.
Right.
Okay, like, maybe he knows what it is, but, I mean, come on.
That's what
like,
my grandparents used.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, the look on his face is just like, it would make his whole fucking day, but, like, that kid is not listening to CDs. That's so
Spoiler
weird.
alert, he doesn't win the CD. It'd probably destroy his life.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably so upset. Like, he actually probably thought that it was some cool, like, retro, like, record, even though I'm sure he doesn't know what that is. Yeah. He's probably like, record? What's record? He probably doesn't know, like, past CD anyway, but anyway.
Whatever.
So, whatever.
So there's this part where Mason is with Shelby's dad, and they come out of this restaurant or whatever, they're eating breakfast, and he's like, Shelby's dad is like, you have your guitar on you? He's like, yeah, I always got my guitar on me. He's just like...
But, like, he clearly did not have it on him.
No, he was walking around town, he wasn't driving, so it wasn't in his car or whatever, and
he didn't have it when he was walking before he went into the restaurant.
Yeah.
And then when he came out, like, he's like, always, yeah. And, like,
okay,
we're, like, looking around, like, where are you just going to pull it out of your asshole? Like, where do you keep your guitar?
I said he chained it to a bike rack.
Yeah. I mean, what the fuck else is he going to do with it?
Yeah.
So in, like, this business that they have is, you know, a berry farm, and then they make, like, preserves to sell and pies and stuff, and the pies that they sell are baked fresh every day, and I don't understand how. I've seen their kitchen, and it's not like they have 10 ovens in their kitchen. Like, they bake them at their house in the morning every day, and when she's selling the pies to the lady, the buyer, she gives her, like, 6 pies.
Did Shelby get up at, like, 2:30 in the morning and just, like, bake pies?
Yeah, are they just, like, baking them all night or something? So that, like,
know.
It doesn't really make any sense. But, I mean, again, I think these are the things that nobody's really supposed to notice, but we do.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, because, we're here to just fuck shit up and make it all not make sense.
Yeah. So, there's this part where Shelby's driving and, like, there's, like, quote-unquote a traffic jam, I guess, like a country road traffic jam.
A backup.
And you can see, like, there's, like, you know, like 7, 8 cars or something, and then there's some cows in the middle of the road. And the guy who we find out is, like, the business developer is, like, the car in front of her, and he comes and knocks on her window, and he rolls it down, and he goes... What did he say? He was like...
He said something like, cows...
Cows are probably blocking the road. Like, dude...
The cows are 20 feet away.
They're right there.
Like, you can see that they are very obviously, like, walking in the road. And he's like, oh, cows are probably blocking the road. Like he can't see them right the fuck. And then, to, like, make it even funnier, like, they pan to... The shot pans to the line of cars with the cows walking, like, across the road, like, in front of it. So it's like, oh, cows are probably blocking the road. Like... I think it's more than probably.
No, that's him just trying to make conversation. And she's like, yeah, I see that. Thanks, bud.
Yeah, I'm not a fucking idiot. Although you are, because you ignored all of the notices from the bank. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go back to that.
That's true.
We're past that
Fair
now.
point.
So, some of the really... There's some phrases in here that... I don't know if they're Southern phrases, or they seem like they would be. I don't know. Like, I'm not from the South, and so if anybody listening is, like, from the South and can confirm these phrases, hit us up on our social media, comment on our stuff, and, like, let us know, like, what you think. But there's a point where her dad says my ears are shooting 20/20.
He's like, oh, I thought my eyes deceived me, but my ears are...
Shooting 20/20 or something like that. And it's funny because he's wearing hearing aids in both ears. And so, like, I don't know. There's another phrase where I actually am familiar with this one. where Shelby is talking to Mason, and she's, being mean to him, and she's like, I just don't think that dog will hunt. And I've heard that phrase before.
Yeah, that's common. It's just fun.
Yeah, it's just fun.
The other one was good and savage. It was, it ain't baggage if you don't carry it around.
Yeah, oh, that one hit me, like, right in the soul. Like,
Yeah.
I felt like #attacked. Very attacked on that one. Like, because, I mean, I'm the kind of person, like, I don't forget stuff. Like, I forgive, but I don't forget, I guess. And, like, so I guess you could say that I, like, carry baggage around, but, like, he said that, and I was like, ouch, like, damn, like, you gotta hit me with that? And that was her dad that said that. So, I mean, a very good point. We should all learn that lesson. It ain't baggage if you don't carry it around. You can always choose to not carry your baggage. Some of us just fucking like to, okay? Like, some of us fucking petty people just like to carry our baggage, okay? Where am I gonna leave it?
There you
Checking?
go. Get him.
Whatever.
Get him. That other good one was, whatever flipped your pancake. I like that one.
Oh, I do like that.
I'm going to start using that
Whatever
regularly.
floats your boat.
Then the telling lies and chewing the fat.
I don't get this one. Like, I get it. It's basically saying, like, oh, we're just messing around and, like, shooting the shit, Like, I think that's what it's supposed to mean, but, like, I don't get it. Like, chewing the fat, I guess I don't get it.
I've heard chewing the fat before. It's kind of like just
shooting the shit.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Essentially what it is, but I've never heard, like, the telling lies part with it. But I don't know. I thought it was fun.
I think the telling lies part, I guess that refers to, like, gossiping.
Yeah.
Or something. Like,
I guess so.
I don't know. But I have to say that, like, Barry Corbin is really funny. Like, if you haven't seen him in anything, like, you're really missing out. He was in One Tree Hill, which is one of my all-time favorites, and they gave him a lot of really good lines in that one too. Like, he's just that kind of, like, an actor that you can give all the good lines to, and he really, like, sells the comedic relief.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think this movie overall is super boring. but he
makes it super interesting.
Yeah, he just, like, the faces he makes and, like, the kind of, like, little lines he has here and there are pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. The weirdest things these are really weird, guys. There's, like, some odd sections, like a couple of places that become kind of sexual in a really weird way.
Yeah, like, it super hints at it, but, like, this movie is rated G, so, like, they had to be super, super careful about it, I imagine.
Yeah, and the one that strikes me as very odd is Shelby, like, walks into the banker guy's office, the financial guy, and I don't know if it's, like, I guess it's what they would consider, like, phone sex. Like, he's on the phone, he's got his wife on speakerphone.
Yeah.
Or we assume it's his wife anyway.
Right.
But, like, his door's open. Like, she just walks right in. Like, it's not like his door is closed, but, like, he's on the phone with his wife talking, like, into this. It's on speakerphone, so
yeah.
It's not like he's talking, like, into a receiver or anything. And he's just like, yeah, can you wear that, like, red turtleneck tonight? And he's, like, saying it. And she, like, walks in, and she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then his wife is like, is that Shelby? Oh, Shelby, forget what you just heard. What?
It's so weird.
What?
I can imagine if it was like, hey, can you wear that red lingerie or, like, that skimpy little thing you have?
Yeah,
like,
but
a turtleneck is literally the least sexy piece of clothing you can wear in the world.
The least sexiest piece of clothing is a fucking turtleneck.
Yeah.
Like, and he's just like, oh, can you wear that turtleneck? And then she's like, oh, please forget that you ever heard that. Heard fucking what? It's like your husband telling you to wear a fucking sweater?
Yeah, it's
like,
super weird.
That's so bonkers. But, like,
I know what they're trying to do, but yikes.
Yeah, it did not transfer well. But my favorite scene, I would argue, is the best scene in the entire fucking movie.
Absolutely.
Is when him and Shelby's dad are in the restaurant, having, like, breakfast, and this waitress that waited on them. Oh my god.
Well, she can't believe her eyes. It's Mason Wyatt. He's here. He's in the flesh, and she clearly just can't get over herself.
Yeah, she's totally fangirling, which is one thing, but the way she's fangirling is, like, she is, like, so sexual. Like, she's like, I don't even know how to explain. Like, she's like, what kind of fruit do you want on your pancakes?
And she's naming all the berries.
She's like, blueberries, strawberries, peaches. And like
she
she's
says
like
peaches.
the way she says peaches, she's like, peaches. And like she's fucking creaming her pants like on the fucking spot. It's so weird,
And
but it's so funny.
Everybody at the table is just laughing at her, and like Mason's sitting there like, oh god.
Super
and he's probably used
uncomfortable.
to that kind of thing. I'm sure that happens to him.
But it's so funny because like this wait, like she's obviously like about to go into the back for her 15-minute break and just like fucking masturbate.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like she has to go change her pants.
That's the kind of vibe she gives off.
I mean, it really is. Like, we are not exaggerating. Like, you watch this scene and, like, her eyes are, like, as wide as fucking saucers. She's impressed by, you know, everything. And she, like, her panties are completely fucking wet. And it was a weird, like, sexual part, but, like, it's my favorite fucking part of the movie. And it's just so funny. And they show, like, the reactions of Mason and then Shelby's dad and everything, and like the looks on their faces. It's executed fucking perfectly. That's my favorite part.
Yeah, definitely. So it wouldn't be a cheesy holiday movie without the lesson.
Of course.
The moral of the story.
The lesson.
No, and the lesson in this movie is it's keep the faith, don't lose hope.
That's what it's supposed to be anyway, but I think the real lesson that they're trying to say is don't worry about your finances until the last second. Like, don't worry about them. Ignore all the notices. It's all just gonna work out. But I personally think that maybe the real lesson should be, I don't know, pay your fucking bills on time.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe you won't get kicked out of your Cracker Barrel house. But sure, the moral, fine, keep the faith. Don't
keep
lose
the faith.
hope. Got it. And the ratings, IMDb gives it 5.9 out of 10 stars, which I think is generous.
Yeah. Rotten Tomatoes give it a whopping 37%.
I'm actually surprised it got that much. And as for our own ratings, I give it 2.5 out of 11 cherry pies.
Okay. I'm going to give it 2 out of 10 foreclosure notices.
Oh, and they'll ignore those two.
I bet they had about 10.
They probably, I mean, look, who knows, but
and they only opened 2 of them.
They yeah, very nice. So our ratings are about they're close to each other.
Yeah.
We feel the same way.
All right, that's a wrap on episode numero 3 of the Hokey Holiday Review. I'm Dustin.
I'm Ashley. Thank you for listening. We had such a great time talking about this one. It was a lot of fun. Please follow us on all of our socials. Facebook, The Hokey Holiday Review. Instagram, The Hokey Holiday Review. Twitter, @Hokey Holiday. And you are always welcome to email us at thehokeyholidayreview@gmail.com.
Yes, so Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah. I think that started this week. And don't forget, Santa is probably checking the list for the second time, and you want to make sure you're in the nice category. So again, don't be an asshole, and have a great week.
Toodaloo!